What if everything your doctor told you about sleeping pills is only half the story? A study published in the Journal of Research in Medical Sciences found that a specific mineral, one most people are dangerously deficient in, works directly on your brain's calming system to help you fall asleep faster, stay asleep longer, and wake up without the groggy, zombie-like hangover that sleeping pills leave behind. I'm not talking about melatonin. I'm not talking about valerian root. I'm talking about magnesium glycinate, and by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why it might be the last sleep solution you ever need. Today, you will learn what magnesium glycinate is, how it works inside your brain, what the science actually says, and exactly how to use it correctly. This is a 15-minute investment that could genuinely end years of bad sleep. No hype, no shortcuts. Just evidence-based information explained clearly. That's the only way we do things here. Let's start with the problem. And I mean the real problem, the one hiding behind the pill bottles and the 3 a.m. alarm clocks. Over 70 million Americans suffer from chronic sleep disorders. 70 million. That is not a niche health issue. That is nearly 1 in 4 adults lying awake tonight, staring at the ceiling, watching the minutes tick by. Globally, the number exceeds 300 million people. 300 million people who are not getting the restorative sleep their brains and bodies desperately need. And the consequences are not just tiredness. Chronic sleep deprivation is directly linked to increased risk of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, obesity, cognitive decline, clinical depression, and a measurably shortened lifespan. This is not a minor inconvenience. This is a slow-burning health emergency that most people are managing with Band-Aids. So what did the medical system offer them? Pills. The sleeping pill market is now worth over $80 billion globally. Drugs like zolpidem, temazepam, and over-the-counter antihistamine sleep aids are being prescribed and purchased at record rates. But here is the question nobody in that $80 billion industry wants you to ask. Are they actually working? Studies show that up to 80% of pharmaceutical sleep aid users report significant next-day grogginess. That heavy, foggy, can-think-straight feeling that follows you into your morning coffee and doesn't fully lift until noon. That's not rest. That's sedation with a hangover. And there is a critical difference between sedation and restorative sleep. Sleeping pills, particularly benzodiazepines and Z-drugs like zolpidem, suppress your deep sleep and REM sleep cycles. They knock you unconscious, but they don't give your brain the architecture it needs to actually repair and restore. You spend more time in lighter sleep stages, your memory consolidation suffers, your emotional regulation takes a hit, and you wake up feeling like you didn't sleep at all. Because, in the ways that matter most, you didn't. I'm going to show you exactly how magnesium glycinate works in your brain in just a moment, but first, you need to understand why the pill approach makes things worse over time. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. Sleeping pills don't just fail to fix insomnia. For many people, they actively deepen it. Let me explain 3 reasons why. First, dependency and tolerance. When you flood your brain with sedative chemicals repeatedly, your brain adapts. It downregulates its own natural calming receptors. It literally shrinks the very system that was supposed to help you relax. So after weeks or months of use, you need a higher dose to get the same effect. The drug that once gave you 6 hours now gives you 4. And without it, nothing. Second, rebound insomnia. When people try to stop taking sleeping pills, their sleep often gets dramatically worse than it was before they ever started. This is clinically documented. The brain, now dependent on external sedation, has forgotten how to generate its own calm. The rebound can last weeks. Many people interpret this as proof that they need the pills forever. They don't. They are experiencing a withdrawal effect that the pill created. Third, and this is the deepest issue, sleeping pills never touch the underlying biochemistry driving the insomnia in the first place. So, what is actually happening in the brain of someone with chronic insomnia? There are 2 primary villains, and understanding them changes everything. Villain number 1, elevated cortisol. Cortisol is your primary stress hormone. In a healthy person, cortisol follows a precise daily curve high in the morning to energize you, then gradually declining through the day, reaching its lowest point in the late evening to allow sleep onset. In people with chronic insomnia, this curve is disrupted. Cortisol spikes at bedtime instead of bottoming out. Your brain receives a chemical message that says danger, stay alert, do not sleep even when your body is exhausted. Villain number 2, Depleted GABA. GABA, gamma-aminobutyric acid, is your brain's primary braking system. It is the neurotransmitter that tells your overactive neurons to slow down, reduce their firing rate, and prepare for rest. When GABA is functioning well, your mind quiets naturally as the evening progresses. When GABA is low, and in chronic insomnia sufferers, it often is measurably low, your brain stays in overdrive. Racing thoughts. Hypervigilance. The inability to switch off no matter how exhausted you feel. This is the actual mechanism of insomnia that almost nobody is explaining to patients. And this is precisely what magnesium glycinate targets. Still with me? Good, because this next part is where most sleep advice completely falls apart. So what if there was something that directly reduced nighttime cortisol and boosted GABA activity naturally, without creating dependency, and without suppressing your sleep architecture? What if it wasn't a drug at all, but a mineral your body was already designed to use? That is magnesium. Magnesium is involved in over 300 enzymatic reactions in the human body. It regulates nerve transmission, muscle function, blood sugar control, blood pressure, and critically, neurological calm. Your body was literally built to run on this mineral. But there are many forms of magnesium on the market, and this is where most people go wrong. Magnesium oxide, cheap, widely available, poorly absorbed, primarily acts as a laxative. Magnesium citrate, better absorbed, useful for constipation, but not optimized for neurological effects. Magnesium glycinate, this is the specific form bound to glycine, an amino acid with its own independent calming properties. Magnesium glycinate crosses the blood-brain barrier most effectively of all the common forms. It delivers magnesium directly to the neural environment where it needs to work. The Journal of Research in Medical Sciences research anchors the clinical evidence we are going to walk through right now. Let's break down exactly how magnesium glycinate works in your brain. There are 3 distinct mechanisms, and each one is remarkable. Mechanism 1, GABA enhancement. Magnesium acts as a cofactor in GABA synthesis and actively potentiates GABA-A receptors. Now, GABA-A receptors are the same receptors targeted by benzodiazepines and even alcohol. But magnesium does this through a natural, non-addictive pathway. It doesn't flood the receptor with an artificial chemical. It supports the receptor's natural function and helps your brain produce more of its own GABA. When magnesium levels are adequate, GABA flows more efficiently. Your neurons reduce their firing rate, and your brain enters a chemical state that is genuinely compatible with deep, restorative sleep. This is not sedation. This is your brain's natural calm being restored. Mechanism 2, cortisol suppression. The Journal of Research in Medical Sciences study specifically demonstrated that magnesium supplementation produced measurable reductions in salivary and serum cortisol levels, particularly in the critical evening window. This is not a small finding. High bedtime cortisol is one of the most consistent biological markers found in people with primary insomnia. When you reduce that evening cortisol spike with magnesium glycinate, you are removing the chemical alarm signal that was keeping your brain in a state of hyperalert. You are letting the natural sleep cascade actually begin. Now, mechanism 3. This one involves something almost nobody is talking about, and it works in a completely different way than the first 2. The glycine component of magnesium glycinate is not passive. Glycine is an active amino acid with documented sleep-promoting effects of its own. Research published in Sleep and Biological Rhythms, a peer-reviewed journal, found that glycine supplementation independently lowers core body temperature. Why does that matter? Because a drop in core body temperature is one of the most critical biological triggers for sleep onset. Your body needs to cool down to fall asleep. Glycine accelerates that cooling process. The same research found that glycine also measurably reduces next-day fatigue scores in subjects with chronic poor sleep. So pause and let this sink in for a moment. With magnesium glycinate, you are getting a compound effect. Magnesium working simultaneously on GABA enhancement and cortisol reduction, while glycine independently lowers your core body temperature and directly reduces fatigue. That is 3 separate sleep-promoting mechanisms in a single supplement. No pharmaceutical sleep aid does that. They knock one lever. Magnesium glycinate moves 3. Now here is something that makes this even more urgent. The reason so many people are struggling with sleep right now may not be a mystery at all. It may be a deficiency hiding in plain sight. Studies estimate that between 50 and 75% of adults in Western countries are consuming less magnesium than the recommended daily amount. This is not a rare condition. This is a population-level problem. Why has it gotten so severe? 4 reasons. First, soil depletion. Intensive modern farming has stripped magnesium from agricultural soil. Even if you are eating vegetables every day, those vegetables contain significantly less magnesium than the same vegetables would have contained 50 years ago. You cannot eat your way to optimal magnesium on a modern diet without significant effort or supplementation. Second, dietary patterns. High sugar intake and refined carbohydrate consumption deplete magnesium through accelerated urinary excretion. The more processed food you eat, the faster you burn through your magnesium stores. Third, chronic stress. And here is the vicious cycle that traps so many people. Chronic stress burns through magnesium at an accelerated rate. Low magnesium raises cortisol. High cortisol worsens sleep. Poor sleep increases stress, which depletes more magnesium. Around and around it goes. This cycle is not a metaphor. It is a documented biochemical loop that can continue for years without intervention. Fourth, medications. Proton pump inhibitors, the acid reflux drugs that millions of people take daily, directly reduce magnesium absorption in the gut. Diuretics commonly prescribed for blood pressure and heart conditions increase urinary magnesium loss. If you are stressed, eating a typical Western diet, and taking any common medications, the statistical likelihood is genuinely high that magnesium deficiency is a direct, measurable contributor to your sleep problem. So let's talk about exactly what to do about it. Here is the precise dosing protocol based on the clinical research. The effective dosing range for sleep support is 200 to 400 milligrams of elemental magnesium as glycinate, taken 30 to 60 minutes before bed. If you are new to magnesium supplementation, start at 200 milligrams. Assess your tolerance over the first week. Many people notice meaningful results within the first 3 to 5 nights at this starting dose. After 1 to 2 weeks, you can increase to 300 or 400 milligrams if you feel you need additional support. Timing matters. Taking it on an empty stomach increases absorption speed. If you experience mild digestive sensitivity, which is uncommon with glycinate compared to oxide or citrate forms, take it with a small, light snack. Form verification is critical. The label must specifically say magnesium glycinate or magnesium bisglycinate. These are identical compounds with different naming conventions. Do not substitute magnesium oxide. Its bioavailability is poor, it will not deliver the neurological benefits we discussed, and its primary effect is as a laxative. What should you expect in terms of timeline? Most users report noticeable improvement in sleep onset within 3 to 7 nights. The glycine effects lower body temperature. Reduced next-day fatigue often appear first. Cortisol regulation, which is a deeper biochemical shift, typically takes 2 to 4 weeks of consistent daily use to become fully apparent. And that word consistent is important. This is not an as-needed sedative. Magnesium glycinate works by replenishing a depleted nutrient and restoring the biological systems that depend on it. Your brain needs stable magnesium levels maintained over time to sustain the GABA and cortisol balance we discussed. Take it every day. Make it a non-negotiable part of your evening routine. Now I need to shift tone for a moment, because there is a critical warning. I have a responsibility to give you clearly and directly. If you have any form of chronic kidney disease, kidney failure, or significantly impaired kidney function, do not supplement with magnesium without direct supervision from your doctor. Healthy kidneys efficiently filter and excrete excess magnesium, which is why magnesium toxicity is extremely rare in people with normal kidney function. But compromised kidneys cannot perform this filtration reliably. Magnesium can accumulate to dangerous levels in the blood, a condition called hypermagnesemia, which can disrupt heart rhythm and impair neuromuscular function. This is a serious risk for this specific population. Please take it seriously. Beyond kidney disease, there are other interactions to be aware of. Magnesium can reduce the absorption of certain antibiotics, specifically tetracyclines and fluoroquinolones, if taken at the same time. Space them apart by at least 2 hours. Some osteoporosis medications have similar absorption interactions with magnesium. If you are taking medications for heart arrhythmia or hypertension, consult your physician before starting magnesium supplementation. During pregnancy, magnesium is actually essential, and supplementation is commonly recommended, but confirm your specific dose with your OB/GYN. For the vast majority of healthy adults with normal kidney function, magnesium glycinate at 200 to 400 milligrams is extremely well tolerated and considered safe for long-term use. The safety profile compared to any pharmaceutical sleep aid is dramatically more favorable. But the kidney warning is not a footnote, it is a headline. Now let's talk about making this protocol even more effective. Magnesium glycinate is powerful on its own, but there are several evidence-supported strategies that amplify its effectiveness significantly. First, sleep schedule consistency. Magnesium works with your circadian biology, not independently of it. Pairing supplementation with a consistent sleep and wake time, even on weekends, allows your cortisol rhythm to normalize faster. Your body's internal clock responds to regularity. Give it that regularity. Second, light management. Blocking blue light exposure in the 90 minutes before bed prevents suppression of your natural melatonin production. Magnesium glycinate supports the downstream sleep cascade that melatonin initiates. Protecting melatonin output makes everything downstream, including the magnesium, work better. Blue light glasses or simply dimming screens in the evening costs you nothing and pays significant dividends. Third, dietary magnesium support. Supplementation works best when you are also supporting your intake through food. Dark leafy greens, spinach, Swiss chard pumpkin seeds, dark chocolate above 70% cacao, and legumes like black beans and lentils are all excellent magnesium sources. You will not get to therapeutic levels through diet alone, which is why supplementation is necessary. But dietary support helps your body maintain more consistent magnesium status throughout the day. Fourth, evening stress reduction. Since chronic stress depletes magnesium, a simple 5 to 10 minute breathing practice or body scan meditation before taking your supplement reduces the cortisol load that magnesium has to counteract. You are giving the supplement a calmer starting environment to work in. Even 4 to 7 breathing inhale for 4 counts, hold for 7, exhale for 8 has documented cortisol lowering effects. One important note, do not combine magnesium glycinate with pharmaceutical sleep medications without speaking to your doctor. And be thoughtful about stacking multiple supplements simultaneously without understanding how they interact. Let me give you an honest, realistic picture of what to expect week by week. Week 1, most people notice they fall asleep slightly faster. Middle of the night wake-ups begin to decrease in frequency or disappear. The glycine effect, lower body temperature, reduced next-day fatigue often appears first. Do not judge the full protocol on week 1 alone. Week 2, cortisol modulation begins to become perceptible. Many people report that their minds feel quieter at bedtime. The racing thought spiral that characterizes insomnia starts to lose its intensity. You may not have perfect sleep yet, but you will likely notice a directional shift. Weeks 3 and 4, this is when the compound benefits become clear. GABA pathway support is functioning optimally. Evening cortisol levels are more normalized. And sleep architecture, the percentage of time spent in genuinely deep, restorative sleep, measurably improves for most consistent users. Long-term, unlike pharmaceutical sleep aids, there is no tolerance buildup with magnesium glycinate because you are replenishing a nutrient, not artificially flooding receptors with a foreign chemical. Many people maintain improved sleep quality for months and years of continued use. One honest caveat: if your insomnia has significant psychological components, active anxiety disorders, trauma-related sleep disruption, clinical depression, magnesium glycinate should be a supportive tool within a broader approach that includes professional mental health support. It is not a replacement for therapy or appropriate psychiatric care. Before you shop, let me give you a quick buying guide because the supplement industry has a genuine quality problem. Point 1. Form verification. The label must say magnesium glycinate or magnesium bisglycinate. Avoid anything that says magnesium complex without specifying the exact form. Point 2, and this is the one most people miss, check the elemental magnesium dose, not the total compound weight. A capsule might list 500 milligrams of magnesium glycinate, but contain only 50 milligrams of actual elemental magnesium. You need 200 to 400 milligrams of elemental magnesium. Read the label carefully. Point 3. Third-party testing. Look for NSF certified for sport, USP verified, or informed sport certification logos. These independent certifications verify that what is listed on the label is actually present in the bottle at the stated concentration. Point 4. Ingredient list simplicity. A quality magnesium glycinate product should have a short, clean ingredient list. Be cautious of unnecessary artificial colorings or excessive additives. Point 5. Price reality. A quality 60-day supply should fall in the range of $15 to $35. Significantly below that range, question the manufacturing quality. Significantly above it with no additional certifications, you are paying for packaging and marketing, not better magnesium. Mediment Health does not endorse specific brands. Always consult a pharmacist if you have questions about a particular product. Let me bring everything together now. Insomnia affects hundreds of millions of people worldwide. Sleeping pills sedate without fixing the underlying biochemistry, and they create dependency, rebound insomnia, and suppressed sleep architecture. The actual root mechanisms driving nighttime wakefulness are elevated evening cortisol and insufficient GABA activity. Magnesium glycinate, supported by research published in the Journal of Research in Medical Sciences, directly addresses both of these mechanisms. The glycine component adds a third independent benefit, lowering core body temperature to trigger natural sleep onset. The effective dose is 200 to 400 milligrams of elemental magnesium as glycinate, taken 30 to 60 minutes before bed. If you have kidney disease, speak to your doctor before starting. For healthy adults, this is one of the safest and most evidence-supported sleep interventions available without a prescription. If this video gave you real value today, please hit the like button. It genuinely helps Mediment Health reach people who are suffering through years of unnecessary insomnia right now. Subscribe for weekly evidence-based health content that respects your intelligence. And drop a comment below. Have you tried magnesium glycinate? What was your experience? I read every single comment. Next week, we are covering the one breakfast habit that quietly spikes your cortisol before 9 in the morning. And most people are doing it every single day without realizing it. You will not want to miss that one. This content is for educational purposes only. Please consult your doctor before making health changes.